Okay, good evening, folks. Good evening. Welcome. I'm Afonso Z and so of the Liberia Public Radio and Lpr-Tv. Welcome to this evening show, and I will be right back.
From the West African nation of Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia Public Radio and Television present Business Diary. This program focuses on the activities of business institutions and individuals in society.
I'm Jeremiah Zawu Senior, CEO of All Nation Bank. It has been very good to have this business established here. We are 1 year since we opened here in Anono. There have been few challenges here that have faced in this country, and that is all about the language. But here instead, I refuse to be deterred. I refuse to be discouraged. I open a business and things have been fine.
My name is Mercy Bangarilanga. I am a finance officer working for an international organization. I have a master's degree in business administration. So today I'd like to take the opportunity to talk to you about the COVID pandemic and how it has affected the business sector in terms of me working in an organization, an international organization.
Don't miss out. Be my guest. It's coming soon on Liberia Public Radio and Television.
The program is already aired. It's our guy from the West African state of the Republic of La Cote d'Ivoire, Abidjan. Good evening. Welcome. I'm Afonso Z and so. There's a bash here this evening because I went through a process that was so transparent, was so peaceful. And I just thought if the analysts come to for us to kind of pull around, because this is what I want to see happening in our country. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners right here on this network. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us here at the Liberia Public Radio. No, this is not Freedom Y. This is LPR Live. All right, LPR Live with the panelists. So hopefully the Liberal Progressive, Jennington, say because I saw a lot of tweets. And I want to, Dr. Totoko will also be here, hopefully if they have the time, which was good. And we're going to be discussing a wide range of issues. As you know, Liberia, a lot is ongoing, demonstrations, not really engulfed, but demonstrations is ongoing in the country, whereas the president of the Republic of Liberia arrives in France. But how is all this coming in? The Minister of Finance, the Honorable Samuel Tue, is being called in to answer questions. And I saw a lot of conversation going on, even with the class loaded and the soundbite coming from the opposition as well, praising or saying the law to allow it to take the law taking its place. So where they are coming in? Are we being selective? If we're forcing our favor, then we see the law to be the law of the land, but if it goes against us, then it's misinterpreted. Depending who you talk to, they're going to have their own views, their own opinion, and we hope to be talking that. And I saw former presidential press secretary Jeremy really lash out at the chairman of the opposition to Unity Party, Mr. Luther, with this what they claim of unilateral ad hoc committee, appointing the committee. And that's brought, and in fact, some members of the executive, they have opposed that. They issue a statement calling on other executives to ignore, not to respect the actions of the Unity Party, for which some of them call is almost the repetitions of the replay of that of Wilmon Pay, who was also ousted from the chairmanship of the Unity Party. So there are a lot is going on within the government, the oppositions, the entire world, and of course, this consequential midterm elections ongoing here. We also have to keep focus on what is happening. This is where we are, and this is what we think that we do here. So we're going to be getting a take. Some of our analysts, or some of them that participated in the process, defied the Liberal whether he voted, and if he can show me a badge that he did vote. I defy him to come here this evening. Now, the other night he said he claimed he was in charge. So every now and then he threw me off, and then he said there was a technical issue. So I'm not sure whether that same technical issue is going to happen here too with him. But notwithstanding that, we're going to be having this conversation. We want to welcome you We intend to have a conversation that is inclusive, that is about the Republic of Liberia and how the country can move forward. Front page is also reporting that the county Nimbat, a vote-rich county, it seems not this time around, is guaranteeing their vote to the CDC. What is happening within the establishment as well? They outline a number of reasons. They felt that they are being left out of the process. And the reason you go into collaboration at the end of the day, if you succeed, is all political, nothing else. It's a give and take. If I give you my support, I expect a political reward. People that are supporting these people, they're not supporting them because they're so dear, they love them. There is a payback. There is a and that payback potentially is a political payback. So any politician told you, anybody tell you, oh, I'm supporting the man because I think the man can do the right thing, tell them they lie. Complete baloney. Especially when you see a politician, a political actor making endorsement, they are seeking for something in return. Those conversations are held behind the scene. They will not come there. But when it comes to repolish, they restructure their tone for the good of the country. Yes, for the good for the country, but it is for the good of you as well. So they shouldn't come lie to us or don't accept them. Don't accept that lie. When you see them making those endorsements, when you see them giving the support, and the reason you see all these little funny parties with no headquarters, no bases across the country, but they're right either in Morovia, some kind of little tight place, no staff or nothing, is they are looking for the commendation. They are looking for the commendation. So that, oh yeah, this guy or this person get a base, or he or she get a follower. So that when they go in the process and the process turn out to be um, different, but because of the loudest voice, they call in then to make a settlement, or they go and talk to whoever is the front runner and say, hey, I can be part of this process. I can make it work for you. Why you think Prince Johnson's lent her support to the president is because he needed some political backing, some sort of backyard deeds. I gave you this and you give me that. And it's natural everywhere in politics, even in the West. It's natural. You're not going to go against somebody and then at the end of the day you expect them to make you or to bring you in. Yes, suppose even right here in the great United States, and sometimes when I see the argument, oh, CDC, why they make, but I mean, that's the reality. Do you expect the opposition to be in power and then they take their opponent and put them on major committees? It doesn't work that way. That's just challenge anybody who argue that. Look here in the godfather of democracy, Republican now is fighting to take the speakership. You see Kevin McCarthy now making having his own plans and all of that. Do you think when they take the House, they're going to what, let Democrat people to remain in those strategic or major committees? No, it doesn't work that way. So it's everywhere. And the reason is because they have to protect their standard bearer. They have to do everything possibly they can to make their agenda to push forward. Whether you like it or not, all of these are political calculations, and that's what we need to understand. Nothing less, nothing more. You put these people there, they bring their people in order to protect them, in order to make their agenda, to push their agenda. And so we need to understand that. The opposition needs to understand that. Ordinary Liberian needs to understand that. The politician, they will not tell you the truth of that. Do you think that the opposition in Liberia today takes state power and take they take hold of the upper and the lower house? You're going to have what? You're going to keep Sir Joseph there as chairman of the executive. You're going to have Akara Gray or Thomas Fowler there, Ways and Means. Those are powerful committees. Those are committees that you have and you allow your it makes your agenda to go because it has to be in line with the political ideology of the institution that they represent. So this sort of childish behavior or sort of narrow-minded way of thinking is not in Liberia. You go to Cote d'Ivoire, it's the same. You go to Ghana, it's the same. Right here on your own feet. Here where Kevin McCarthy is talking right now. even though the deal is not done yet, but he say he has the number, and they are anticipating what they intend to do, what they will be pushing towards. So we need to kind of like open our mind with democracy, the things that is embedded within democracy. So sometimes it kind of like, and I see a lot of grown up people who I think I should know better. They say this. Who told you say the bipartisan or inclusions of government? Do you think that how far it goes? No, it doesn't. So it will never happen. It can't happen here, and so it can't happen there. First thing first, that's what we need to know. So, for example, people talking, you have with all of this are going on, opposition wins the election or CDC win the election because they want to satisfy the curiosity of the Liberian people. Then they take somebody made a minister of foreign affairs. The person is the face. However, we can see that way, but that happens based on the strength, and the sort of the harm created within the party in order to stabilize the situation. And we saw that happen after Barack Obama and that of Hillary Clinton. But but it's a different thing by itself. Ain't that these people for them to say a plain and just it. But for us, African in general, we are just unforgiving people. Even if the person forgave you, you still have something under your sleeves because you feel that it's either your entitlement or it must be. Voting as a whole, it comes with a long healing process. Long one. So we need to know, we need to understand a democracy, it has its own pitfall. It has its own, it's like without venture, no success. It's a win and take. You can even support somebody and the person get it there and next day they give you a back kick. You're like, you know what? I can do it. It's none of, you're not going to make a legal paper. Give me this and I will do this. But when I get there, it becomes a different thing. But seeing what is unfolding in our country, the conversation that is being kept, I am concerned as a Liberian, and most of you are concerned as well, because it's not in the interest of the country in terms of what we want to see our country happening. Enough is not being done. People in both houses, the upper, the lower, they are not having a conversation. It's more or less party than the country. Sometimes here you see Democrats vote against Democrat bills. Sometimes Republicans dependent their base. And that is very much important because, and this is why we need to plant in the minds of the voters in our country. We need to start having a conversations that the voters should be empowered because they are the ultimate decider of the fate of these political actors. Why you think specific emphasis is being placed on certain states in this country? Because they are the decider. And so you can even be a Democrat, but you can be in certain portions of the Republican area, but your representation there is solely and mainly for your constituent, not necessarily party, but your constituent, what the party, what your base want, what your constituents envisage to get. So we need to kind of have this conversation for God's sake. What I was seeing contributor, analyst, political pundit. That's one of the guy who is very much, is peaceful body politician. Right now we're having good conversation, but as soon ANC become the tasty power here now, and he start talking in your throat, then everything change. Let me bring King Jonathan Delacat. He is a senior contributor of the Liberal Public Radio, and he does share the views of the opposition's Alternative National Congress, ANC of the Republic of Liberia. fighting to take state power. Let me put red danger behind you here and see maybe or you wanted other color. Let me do it this way here so we can. All right, Mr. JD. Good evening.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Good evening, Mr. So.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure being here once more again.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for all of your commitment, your energy, your passion. Honestly, I really admire you in a sense. You are not easily tempted, even when people put you, and not just only on the network. I watch you on other network going to focus on Africa, and all of that, being a very good listeners and put your point through. Very few politicians get that sort of temperament to do that. I must just admit to that because I have followed that lengthily, and so it's good to Sunday. But again, my own dear brother and friend, you're a politician too. You're like a bamboo, you're like a bamboo stick. People can rely on you. You're going to somersault. Okay. Good evening. Let's start here. I'm not sure whether you voted or not, but let's start here saying the process, how it played out here. And I'm quite sure you have other friends here or other relative who has gone through the process. The reason I put this here, I challenge the Liberator to come here this evening to tell me whether he voted. He never voted, that I can say. I know I saw the image from Sese, other people, but the Liberals never voted. Those are people who compromise their votes and then later on they come and cry and see you. But let's see. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you so very kindly, Mr. So, for firstly affording this platform to Liberians in your tireless effort from work, out of the hustle yet coming, in your weak ways to elevate the conversation, contribute your quota to Liberia, regularly. It is not an easy thing, even those who contribute. Talk less of you who will always make it your mandate and your duty to always be here. I like to say, appreciate, your praise or your shout out to me concerning my humility towards issues of national concern. We are all Liberians first before political parties. We are all making suggestions as to how Liberia can move forward. I will be inclined to providing upright understanding in my mind, and the other divide or the other person might have an upright understanding from their perspective. I have a responsibility and obligation to respect their views, and the only thing I can do is to sharpen the contradiction with my analysis. And so
Okay.
I'm not doing it because I only want power, but I believe on a civil conversation, this is how it should always be. And if the person doesn't get it right now, they will get it later on, and so be it. But I also like to say that this innovation by badge being given to people who have voted is highly passionate. I think if we can introduce these kind of things into Liberia, it will attract more people to participate in the process. That when they come from there, they got something to remember and recall that during this year I participated, and this is what I got from it.
Yeah. I feel like doing something unusual that I've never done here before. But one thing here, this night here, one thing that blessed it because today actually makes it exact 7 years since my father passed away. And this brother was so nice, so good, it just hard. So that's the only hope behind me. But I get in mind to say just how you said, I am in charge. And the way I'm in charge here to let him stay behind there until the whole show finish. I don't know what I should do that. But then my question, yeah, I don't know.
I beg you, don't do it, don't do it. Don't do it.
This guy doesn't like you. Why you want to plead for him, Janitor? He doesn't like you.
No,
You see how you don't talk about your political leader? He wants to go on top, and your guy should come on. Yeah, but anyway, since you beg me, let me just bring him because he looking so sorrowful. Look at him. Look at him. Yeah, it not 7 years the woman part, but because you're so nice. Yeah, but other than that, I'm gonna make you stay beyond there. and they show Finney. And I said, a technical problem. The Liberal not here. Nothing will happen. The Liberal Progressive, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Soul. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Why you never voted?
Voted where?
Where is election taking place now?
In the pure country. From Total, my vote here. My vote belonging to Total. I've been here, I've been in this country going to almost 50 some more, 60 some more, 70 some more years. My vote belonging to Total. The only voting process that I have done is the time I voted for Tuckman when I was about 4 or 5 years old. I intend not to vote again until I cast my vote in the Republic of Liberia.
You were 4 and 5 years you voted?
I've been telling you that story over and over. I voted for more at that particular day. I went in the line, went back in. You go through the
law.
But who made the law? That
These are the
who made the law.
These are the people that get the country to be what it is.
That taught me who made the law. Taught me will tell you say you violate what law? What law? You taught me there. I go through, I come by, I go through, I come by, I go, and every time they give me candy. When you go through, they give you candy. And who is not one candy?
Mr. Two, one lawmaker said, the two say you violated the law. He said, no, and we don't mean the law, I'm violating. And then living in us more the powder.
Yeah, yeah. So told you, some kind of karakara man. Wow. I imagine, I think I need to talk to people from Total. It looks like you are a troublesome guy when you were much younger. The way I see you, so.
Not really. I respect. The only thing when I was much younger, if you come into a town as a young man or even a young woman, and you want to show yourself like you big shot, then they call me. Then
to do what?
To come and ask you a question, why you in my town, you refuse to speak to me, and you got to answer. You don't answer, then a different thing.
I think you are a guy who they were hiring to be fighting people, right? That seems to be the case.
Pretty much. There's a guy right now living in Minnesota. He and I went to Ivory Coast, and the Ivorian kids, they tried to mess with him while I was in somewhere else, and he came running to call me. And when I got there, they started apologizing. He's in Minnesota right now. Finney, listen, but big more he got. Finney, listen, he can write. When you finish writing good thing about George Weah, you think say George Weah are king. But go approach him. Finish listen like nothing else.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys. Welcome. Nishima Bashir, and there's a reason that I decided to maintain this on this verse here. Because the process I went through and other people, I'm not saying everything about the voting process here. We all know the story. The conspiracy theory is already on the rise of alleged fraud, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, the process in itself, when you go, the courtesy being a caller, how you're being received, and how the thing being processed. I really want this sort of electronic system to go in the country. But even the electronic system can be there, but the people who are even there can also contaminate the electronic process. You know, that's another thing. I'll tell you what. The last time the center I voted, you know, every now and then, I can't remember, perhaps I did it, but they can change, especially when you move with your zip code or within your proximity, they just send your name. So just yesterday before I could come, I decided to go to the center. I went rushing, bouncing in there just before coming to work. And I said, well, I'm not sure, but this is what I voted. They say, okay, welcome, sir. I give my ID. And just put it on the machine there. And like I said, oh no, this your name is not here. So I said, but where? Say, this is, go to Excel, this is the address and everything. And when I went, exactly, it was there. I was received. They gave me my card and everything, and just went to that ballot, did what I could do. And more importantly, I mean, I really want Liberia to be up to that standard. I don't know whether we need to fast and pray, but even my knees here right now can't even hold the ground again. Because even things that relate to your state, all these little laws, everything, they are all there. They don't just want to throw something to you unless You don't follow what is happening in your state. You don't follow what is happening in your community. Everything it is made out of law. It's not going to be like lawmaker going to get 35,000 and nobody knows about it. They are constituent, and then they finish, they come back, then they give justification why that 35,000 or 40,000 was given. And what is really thing? And I think we need to be having some sort of a conversation as we move towards this election, not necessarily the political aspect, but our open minds conversation. Maybe that will help to change the system, or maybe that will help for people to start making some good judgment in their way of doing things. You know, and Jay, all of those people who are presiding over those processes in Liberia, bulk of them went to school here in the West. And that's the sickening thing about it. People and you that work here, when they say 7 o'clock, they will be there. But don't get me wrong, when you and Liberians stay working together, that's a problem. When they know you are a nice and soft guy, that the time their car tire will always get flat because they know you are on chip and you will not report. I mean, it's just crazy, crazy. But let me just bring you in here. Let's have a little bit of conversation here. We'll come to the political aspect here. How can we make the voting process free, transparent? How can we get the electors to be more excited into the process that will be involved, and not just it's not just all about voting. What are they voting for? Are we having those sort of conversation?
Thank you, Mr. So. Like I will always tell my colleagues back home, I always say that Liberia is our country. It is the only country that we have. Whether we are a member of any or citizen of any country, that country is our second home for economic reasons or for privileges. But where we come from is Liberia. And so we need to make it better. We need to make it work better for ourselves, our children. Vote of politics, vote of loyalty to political party and its ideology. We need to see reason to invest in education because it will awaken our consciousness to answer the question of what can we do to have participatory democracy work properly in our country, where people are conscious, where they will make it competitive for ideas. So if up to now, Article 10 of our Constitution suggests that the Constitution should be taught in every learning institution across our nation, and it has not been done, then we understand there's a fundamental issue. And so it brings us to your intro, because I was listening to your intro, that some of the politicians do endorsement because they want support. And I will bracket it into dominant in government versus agitation against government, qualification in government versus loyalty to government. If we make education as a paramount concern and not playing on the gullibility of our people, even if the person is qualified, the person has the credential, the person knows how to connect Liberia, and they are in the opposition in the legislature, and they are from TDC, I think it will make it easier for us to elect that person as a speaker, because that person will come with a reasonable mind. They will know when to support their party CDC, and they will know what is win-win for all Liberians. Likewise, the ANC. But if we don't have that education sink in our community, and we just got few persons that are educated to the consciousness of civic duty, then we'll play on the gullibility of the bulk majority of the people, and then loyalty comes in, and then agitation against the people come in. When one party wins and sweep all the other people from there, when the other person party wins, they kind of sweep all the other persons from there. So I think it's on education. If our
Okay.
people are educated or informed to make it, reduce it a little bit, well informed of that rights, limitation, and responsibilities.
Okay. Before I bring in the liberal here, I hear you talking about education, education. Let's put aside making accommodations of those that are out, but even within, all right, we don't like competition. Africans, we don't like to to have somebody within the system to be competitive of what we are doing. I see that to be one of the problems. Right now, the ANC, the Unity Party, the CDC, if somebody were to come out, there are some shining stars within in those institutions, but they might not have the financial resources. You and I see it every other day. The Democrat, the Republicans, every election season, we hear say the rising star, simply because of the person eloquences, the way they address issues, they are potential leader, and people will give them the opportunity to prove themselves right or wrong, or people will allow them to go. But right now, if somebody were to come out who does not have the financial strength, but yet the person is a high core believes in the political ideology of the ANC, with the ANC folks, with even the comments himself, would that person be accommodated? Would that person be given a chance to show his or her God given potential? I doubt it. There will be something, this guy, what he trying to prove. So we suppress, we keep people down. I want you to respond to that and I bring in the liberal.
So I think the onus is firstly on each of us. And I agree with you. There are people, smart people in each of the political parties, including the CDC. And the leader has a responsibility, a role to play, and each of us have a role to play. I was in the Unity Party as I became delegate member, no position. I resigned from Unity Party very bravely, something that young people can do. If you add almost 7 or 8 years, 9 years, going to 12 years to my age, if you subtract it, they are far younger than that. It was not something that people could do. Spoke on behalf of Henry Costa, who resigned from CDC. But when I knew that there's a calling in me to take on a particular responsibility, I went for it. And when I went for it, other people saw it, they gave me the avenue. So I think what you are saying, it borders on what Madame Florence Nightingale would say, fear. No, fear can make you that even 100-pound hammer in your hand, according to Florence Nightingale, you will not be able to kill an ant because they say the ant is a witch. When you can step on that ant. So one contributing factor is fear. Another thing again is people who bring people down, who do everything that your innovation and creativity will not be sellable, will not be marketable, and you see yourself as nobody. So these two things must be dealt with, in a parallel form. So in some instances, our leaders are responsible, to be honest with you, by not giving people the urge, by not giving people the space. For me, I would say that I have not had that encounter. I have always felt that where my leader does not see it deemed fit, it also put much more responsibility on my shoulder to do it in a more passionate, in a more creative, in a more innovative ways. I've been
Okay.
deputy secretary for ANC. I rose to the position of acting secretary during the crucial national election of 2017 and deputy spokesperson for the institution. And I've served diligently, and I don't think that I've been placed in one corner by whatsoever means, except maybe I'm not prepared.
Okay. All what I'm saying here for us to tap into the expertise of people. Let me bring in the liberal. Of course, he always get an extreme views on things. That won't be a surprise, but I'll give him the opportunity to see whether you're going to kick the can down the road here again this evening. The liberal, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Soul. Thank you for having us again.
Yeah. And we always talk about election. We want our country to be vibrant. We want to do it. I'm not sure whether we, even in the media as well, we are having this sort of conversations. I was just providing the narrative, my own process, and what we went through here. But I'm wondering, how can it be done differently? Why is it not happening? All of these people who are in authority and all of that, why are we not utilizing the potential within the system and yet allow one person to be there for the life of the law?
Thank you, Mr. So for me, there are two things here. First, it's what I stated earlier, that I've been in this country. I came in this country at a very young age, in my teen, pretty much, when I came in this country. And since then, I was here when MTV was founded. When they first established MTV, I was here when CNN started. So I've been around for quite a while. But with all these years that I've been in this country, in and out of Liberia, I have never gone to the poll to vote once. Not that I don't like to vote, or not that I don't want. I'm a liberal, so I want the liberal people, liberal politicians to succeed. But I'm from Tool Town. Liberia is in me. I feel like if and this is a serious stuff, I feel within myself, maybe I'm wrong, but if I take myself to the poor in this country, which I love, which has blessed me so immensely, if I go to them and vote, it's like for me, I feel it's like I'm selling out my country. My vote, which is one man, one vote, many people die for that. I will not vote in this country if I don't have the opportunity to vote in Liberia, so be it. But that one man, one vote that people die for, I must utilize that privilege in Liberia. And when I do, I should stand in public and yell and scream at the top of my lung that I have done that. It's very important to many of us, especially to me. Now, Mr. Soul, your question is, why is it that the talented young people specifically, because if you're talented, but if you're old, your talent can only take you so far. But if you're talented and young, that talent must be harnessed by the people in power, not necessarily for themselves, but to help them improve the lives of the people that they're leading. And for me, that particular aspect of that, the weakness of it, come from the fact that the political leaders, those who are in charge to lead us, they are unable to allow people to flourish, because they also encourage gossip within their squad. They encourage backbiting within their squad, because that's the only way they will know who is against and who is not. Even in a little organization, they're always looking for enemies. And as long as they continue to look for enemies, people who have no clue on how to help you to lead, but because they want to be in the circle, and the fact they understand that you're looking for enemies, they will find enemies to make you like them, so that they will be in a position. And this is what we are. This is what we have. Even in the so-called ANC, so-called Unity Party, that's all these leaders are all doing. They are looking for way, even in the Gonglo group that is not as much as many people as ANC or how do you call it, Unity Party. They still people are there that the mayor part every day he say he's being truthful. What kind of truthful man is there? He says something against us, then he say you want to be truthful, because the man is telling you what he believes. Does not mean he against you, but that's not how we see it. And the leaders themselves encourages this kind of nonsense. As a result of that, Mr. So, you will not go anywhere unless you agree to play ball. I'll give you another example. Just today on Front Page Africa, there's an article on there that I've been talking about from day one. East International and Ralphie Highway is now coming to light. Why is it taking this long? This is something many of these politicians travel outside of Liberia, and there's only one route you can take from Monrovia to Ralphie Highway. You mean that when they're driving the road, they can close their eyes? Why have they not questioned? Because some of them knew exactly what was happening, but because they don't want to rock the boat. You have to In this country, the voting process that we saw yesterday, and still people are still counting, this thing didn't just start overnight. Years and years ago, they used to have what they call Salem witch hunt. There was some Christian people here killing people because they believed they are witchcraft. And people stood up among them, say, you can kill me, but this is not right. We will not accept that. That's how you build society. And this thing eventually came up. These people have been fighting for this kinds of stuff that happened yesterday. They fought for it. They believe in it. It's a system. It is not man-made. It's a system that can be challenged. It's a system that can be broken by those who are putting it together. But you must have people who trust the system as though it is their father and their mother they're trusting their life to. You have to. Because this is the only glue we have that brings us together. I'll give you one last example and then I'll take off here. There's certain thing that happened today on Spoon TV. Spoon had the Minister of Finance, who you know very well, Mr. So. I am not a fan of that. But here is the issue. And the question that was being asked to the minister, they are all proper questions. But when you bring the Minister of Finance of the Republic of Liberia to a show that have over 5,000 viewers, the man must be respected. He must be asked proper questions and not be challenged as though he's in the courthouse or you want to disgrace him. This is unacceptable. Now, if you do this, he's the Minister of Finance, and the international community, whenever he speaks, people listen. People take notes. And you have asking some beautiful questions, but then you become so much ridiculous that you start ridiculing the minister. He's the Minister of the Republic of Liberia. He's not Minister of CDC. And so when you bring him on your show, you address him as such. You can disagree with him. You can ask your question, but it must be done with respect. Not because of Samuel Twa is your friend. Far from it. You want to bring him on as your friend? You bring him on as my friend Samuel Twa. But do not call him Minister of the Republic of Liberia and have people ridiculing him, asking him questions as though they want to sabotage or whatever it is you want to say. These are the reason why we're not going anywhere. Because if you bring somebody like Samuel Twa on your show, the show itself must show respect to Samuel Twa, whether you agree with him or not, whether you think he's corrupt or not. But you bring him on, and then you, as a host or whoever it is, start degrading him, and you expect your audience to not support that. It is unacceptable. It is unacceptable, and this is why we're not going to go anywhere. Jonathan sitting right here was a good, decent human being. He get in that position, the same thing. Jonathan, I will say here, and then you know where we come from. He will be in that position. You call him. Hey, Jay, it's me, Sam. Oh, Mr. Toll. Let me call you right back. That's how it starts. That's how it starts. Instead of
Okay.
Mr. So, hold on.
No. You know how long you've been talking?
Hold on, Mr. So. I know you're running your show. I hope you don't do what I did to you, because that was a liberal behavior.
Oh.
That's okay.
Oh, so
but you as a conservative, you don't do that. But no, on a very serious note, all of these things we're doing here, any other person get to power tomorrow, it starts from the head. If the way Cummings will become president, the way he will be dancing, beating a drum, that has Jonathan, they're all going to dance to it. So we shouldn't be here and say, oh, the other people, they kind of will be different. Nothing. Look, they say, our country people say, you see what happened in the bathroom, but watch how the person putting grease on yourself. Somebody come from the bathroom and start putting grease on yourself, beating themselves with oil, boo, pa, boo, pa. You are not in the bathroom. Can you imagine putting grease on yourself? Can you imagine what they were doing in the bathroom? How much beating they were doing to themselves? This is what we have. It starts with respect, not only for the rule, but respect for individual. And then you will recognize people's talent.
Okay. Wow. This other recitation here was not easy. Okay, Dr. Toto, good evening and welcome.
Yeah, I'm here. Good
Okay,
evening.
thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Libra,
you
Alfonso,
listen to something. I'm not
Senator,
sure
yeah.
whether you were following, but I was just asking the question. I went through the process of voting, and I how the process it was hassle free. I'm not suggesting everywhere in the country the other voting process is free. That's not what I'm saying. But the idea is that the system that is being laid out, and even people in the ruling establishment, people will come up with conspiracy theories, innuendos, falsehood, and all of that. But there will be some people who stay in the system who will say, no, this is a system, it's free, it's fair, nothing of such happens, and they will come out and speak out. And we are talking about how to bring in the young potential, even the party that you support, Tiawan Gonglo. There are some people who there that they are gifted, they are talented, they are potential leaders. Why we can't build out leadership for the future? But the ANC, the Joseph Boyka, even the George Weah there, the lack of sustainability of our political institution itself is fitting the democratic process. If you go back to NDP, I'm just adding some little bit layers onto the conversation. You go back to the NDP. Who did NDP besides Samuel Doe that were really pushing forward that at some point in time Samuel Doe will leave the stage? Who did Unity Party after Helen Johnson served 12 years will say, okay, Helen Johnson is reaching her age. She will not have the strength. We need to start nurturing 1 or 2% to be the potential face and leader of the Unity Party. It never happened. CDC is not happening. And I even see it happening in the ANC right now. The Unity Party, your own party. I'm not saying it happening. How do we that we want to have a vibrant nation when the old faces, the same old people keep holding on, they are suppressing other people, even those that are there when they want to rise, they will tell them say no, because somebody will come and tell them say this guy want to kill you, or this guy want to take charge, or this person is trying to do XYZ. You will be labeled as some sort of bukume in a Lavran way, and you will not be given the opportunity, but yet and say we still will want a vibrant society. How possible in the midst of all of this, how can we have a vibrant society?
Yeah, Alfonso, that's a very good point. One of the ways we can have a vibrant society is what we are doing right now, to have this type of discussion, to change the mind and the mentality of people, especially the young people. When it comes to the voting process yesterday in the US, I did not vote yesterday, and the reason why I did not vote, I blame myself, and I compared the voting system that was here yesterday and compared that with Liberia. They have a little bit of correlation. And the reason why I did not vote yesterday for, because my district that I'm in, my Whitehall district, because the last census that I was taking, we lose population, and our district will merge with another district of borough. So the polling center changed. So I did not know. I normally have my own polling station. I normally vote. When I went there, I saw different people to the place. They asked me when I showed my ID. They said, "Oh no, you are no longer in the district. Your district will merge with Brentwood district."
Oh my
You
goodness.
see, and then I have to go to work. I didn't have the time to go with the Brentwood district again to go see about voting. But you see the importance of census. That's right there. You see the importance of census because the last census that was taken. And then when it comes to Liberia, we want to have election in Liberia. We don't want to take the importance of census. Another thing also too, our guy from Pennsylvania that won the senatorial election, or John Fetterman. We all know that John has some health problem. He suffer
Stroke.
massive stroke.
Hmm.
Sometimes he may, and he's still going through the recovering process. And he loses speech and all. But all the polling that were conducted, the people of Pennsylvania still believe that he can do a good work. and people are discussing the issue, they're not focusing on your health. As compared to Liberia, if, or in the case of Liberia, they may not fit to run, or the issue of age in Liberia also too will continue to chase Oben Boyka. Some people say he have a peacemaker. He not healthy, not capable to run Liberia. You see, but look at how it's played on in America here when it came to the senatorial election in America. So I just want to just put that 2 points there. And then when it comes to the mentality, the system in Liberia, how do we change the system? You know, it's something that continue to eat the fabric of the democracy in Liberia. Not just only the political institution, but also our institution. Look at our loans, our nationality, the loans are. When George Weah, they were playing with the inner prom, they were playing. Our government or our people, we did not invest in the young people to think one day that when George Weah, James Dima, and even Sophie will have a new generation that come up to take with the national team. Today, we can have get a 50 national team to replace those guys. You see how detrimental it is to our society. So the only way we can improve the system is the discussion that we are starting right now. The type of discussion to discuss it, the pros and the cons, and then reach out to the young people, go to school, have symposium, workshop, high school, university. We begin to engage them to tell them the importance of this type of discussion and how we change the mentality. And that every time they have to go to school to do muya. No militant chatting and thing there. Even though they can do that political gathering and thing there, but they have to look at the bigger picture of the society we call Liberia. We want to make a disastrous decision how to move forward as a nation.
Well, yeah, I think that's a very crucial. Why you didn't want to post your district? You scream at anybody? Why you didn't yell? And
oh no! I just smile myself that you know. I just laugh myself. I just smile.
And I was,
you know?
Probably that's what happened. Which I didn't take notice. I was just saying the same thing. Where I usually go to do my voting my son's school, I went rushing there yesterday. Rushing coming away, and when they say, "Oh no, Joblo, your Nina here." So center that way you need to go. So the system is respected, the system is guided, the system is principle minded. I mean, the system, they try to do everything possibly they can to maintain the system, and I think that is what is lacking.
Definitely.
So, or you mentioned something, and this guy who won in Pennsylvania here,
John Federman.
Yeah, John. With that, is that enough? You didn't call janitor name, but me, I don't have no secret. I'm not a laborer who always try to kind of like sugarcoat thing. I don't want to call anybody name. Janitor has called Boyka name. Is that enough? Are those comparisons? Is there any sort of link comparison there? But but the bottom line, why you're driving on here is the issue. So are you saying the health of our people it should be ignored as well? And this come to the point before you respond. This come to the point of we were talking yesterday about almost conducting poll, but you also see that there are cardinal issues the voters find interest in which they're going to vote. So the person could be a Republican, the person could be a Democrat, but they look at the issues. If they see that the Republican candidate or the Democrat candidate is much stronger to push that interest, they could change party line and do their vote. That's not what we have in our country.
Oh yeah, definitely so. Look at the issue of the Supreme Court decision I was taking some time ago, the Roe v. Wade something. You know, it played a major factor in this election here. So whether it was Republican or Democrat issue, the voter were looking at policy, they were looking at issues that will benefit them also. They were looking at that. You know, so they were going after the policy also too, but looking at what's going to affect them in making a strong decision, whether that Republican, whether that Democrat. And also, first of all, John Federman, he from Pittsburgh. He from Pittsburgh. If you look at the demographic in Pittsburgh is one of the places that's it's a highly or conservative city or town where we have a lot of Republican. If you look at, he took a huge vote from here. You know, So
Okay.
the health can be also a factor, but the big issue with the people don't look at the policy, what John Federman going to bring in. That's what they look at. They're not going to look at the TV celebrated Dr. Oz, and think that, but they look
Okay.
at the issue.
So let me give before the Liberal kind. Let me give Jennington the opportunity here, because you spoke in code, and I managed to decode what you were saying here, and some people this and that. But Jennington, you listen to Dr. Toto here. Moving forward, do you see the comparison he laid out with the Pennsylvania voters? Do you see that as a, will you change your talking point regarding Ambassador Boyka, the age and the device that he's using because of health reason? Is that something you think people will try to undo a little bit and focus on something else based on the policy? You always talk about policy, which of course, but I'm not sure how we're going to kind of draw the parallel line between those two.
So thank you. When we are trying to draw find an answer between two evils, or find an answer to a best suited person, then all other things, all other indicators will be counting. So, for example, I'm an opposition person from the ANC and the CPP. Should there be election between Ambassador Boyka and President Weah? Would I be discussing the issue of whether Ambassador Weah can compete with Ambassador Boyka on policy? That is not a question for me to answer, because it's far concluded that Ambassador Boyka is far ahead of him. Will there be a conversation to discuss about health? I will also know that Ambassador Weah carries more muscle, but he does not have the intellectual wherewithal in terms of policy execution as compared to Ambassador Boyka. So I will go for Ambassador Boyka. If it comes to Councillor Gonglo and Ambassador Boyka, I will obviously take Councillor Gonglo, because Councillor Gonglo brings all of the other things with him. Same too, if it comes with Ambassador Boyka and Mr. Cummings in a country that does not have health facility, and this person has age, definitely you cannot compare it with the situation of John Fatiman in Pennsylvania. He's in good health environment. Since I came to America, I've been in America since April 17th of this year. I've now been knocked down by malaria. I'm breathing good air. So John Fatiman's condition is far better than an individual who will be in Liberia, who needs to cross-check the different sectors of Liberia and already having a challenge of health. It will have to be a conversation. And by the way, we are not the one who brought the conversation. It was the public who have been looking at the physique of Ambassador Boyka, and then the question came on Sky FM. But lastly, let me say that the conversation on Spoon today, it is Minister Toer who initiated the provocation. When he referred to Mariah as being rude or not be rude on him, then he gave reason. When he described Mariah's physical expression, when I sit on a platform, I don't know how any of you can restrict my facial expression as to what I do, when I smile or I tie my face. So when you, the minister, start to go down low, then you have even debased the argument. Then other people who also have arsenal and reason to go after you now, they will use this as an alibi to even reinforce the agenda.
Okay, let me bring in the liberal. He brought this, and I didn't watch it. I just saw a little bit of it. I'm not going to really go into detail, but maybe we'll just speak on a general concept and principle with that. But liberal, the guy you support, me, is being inserted into that. You listen to the argument of Dr. Toto here relative to how Ambassador Boyka is being described, or some of potential impediments for which he can or he should not even be running here. You also making it, and this is where it become a little bit convoluted. You also say, well, he can just go only one term. I don't know on what basis you think that he can just only go one term and he cannot go for second term. Whether there's a hook, I just don't know. But let me just bring you in here. Can we, in real time, in real world, can we equip that to that of the Pennsylvania senator just elected with that of ambassador? Do you think is a lazy argument to be fighting, to be pushing the ambassador health condition?
Far from it. Far from it. I think it's a fair game, Mr. So. What I don't think is good is the folks themselves from the Unity Party. They're so lazy. They're so lazy in terms of engagement that they shy away, stay away, and afraid to even touch this subject matter. You make that into a conversation from Unity Party. You lead that conversation. Whether you lead a conversation or not, whatever problem the Ambassador Obaka has, it's not going to change anything. Whether ANC breaks it up or Unity Party lead that conversation, the health problem, whatever health problem he has, it's going to still be there. So, if I was involved, like I said, I don't know them, they don't know me. I just speak because I admire him, and I'm strictly speaking for myself based on my perception of what I think they should do. Now, Mr. So, if I was in their camp, I would have a medical doctor. Nobody then the guy sure they don't know what to do with it. You invite a medical doctor and ask him, can we discuss Ambassador Obaka a health issue? The medical doctor most likely going to tell you no. It's a private issue. Then you have Ambassador Obaka calling into that show and say, Doc, I gave you permission to discuss it. What is it about pacemaker that he ain't get gonorrhea, he ain't get AIDS. It's not a sexual disease. It's an AIDS problem. It's an AIDS problem. We all going to go through that. It just happened that he also needed a pacemaker. So what? Make that into a conversation. The voter of Liberians, they're entitled to that. Let them have a fair decision to make. So when they're making a decision, they know if some of them, if they're going to use that against you, so be it. But you're hiding it. You don't want to talk about it. And then when any other person talk about it, that person become a buku man. No. I say bring it on. Bring it on. Let's discuss it. Let Unity Party take the lead on that. They're not doing it because they're lazy. They're afraid. That's the thing. Mr. So, Jonathan mentioned the young lady, very smart, intelligent, highly educated, Mariah Kakula today. This is what I can say to that. Just from observation, what I saw today, ANC going to have some serious problem with that young lady because they will not be able to contain her. And when she gets to the position she wants, you think what's her name? The lady close to Dr. Wiana, what's her name? The lady
Finabono?
Finabono. You think Finabono West? Watch and see Mariah Kakula. Watch and see how she, watch and see how she tried to manipulate Cummings, and Cummings will say nothing. Look at the show today. She and Stanton had some issue before, but the entire time, when any other person is given the opportunity to ask questions, Mama Kakura would leave, even though it's not her turn. And so many times, Stanton got to say, Mariah, let the person speak. Mariah, and she will continue to insist to speak. Where is the rule within yourself? You're a lawyer, for Christ's sake. Is that how she behaves in the courthouse? I don't think so. But why do you behave like that to us? Are we such a stupid people that you can just come in and don't respect the rules? And this is a lady's going to be the face of ANC? She's ANC, if they are not able to continue her to, not forget about continuing, but if they're not able to advise her now, once they take position, this lady is going to be the real problem for ANC. Trust me, I'm saying it. because the way she behaved today, it was unacceptable. She came across, and perhaps there was a plan. She's a lawyer. She asked a lawyerly question. Accepted, fine, very good. But in a courthouse, when you ask question, you allow the witness to respond. And if you interrupt, the other judge, the other lawyer will interject. We don't have that. So it's citizens as giving you the leeway as a lawyer to ask these beautiful questions. Wait till the minister answer. And if it is not your time, if you want other people to yield to you, all of you on the platform, ask for somebody to yield to you. They say, Chairman Ben Sevi, can you yield your time to me? But she doesn't do that. She interrupts and asks questions. Beautiful question, mind you. Beautiful question that actually got Minister Tour sweating, to be honest with you. That which was okay. But the process, the way she was dominating, if this is what ANC got, they got serious problem.
Okay. Legendary Emon George.
Mr. Janitor, Mr. So how you doing?
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
I saw your hair walking, moving left and right when the Liberal were talking.
Mr. So I posted the question the last time. I said, is Liberian men intimidated by women, highly educated women, or what? Something too. Is that today you seen Mariah being, I don't know how to describe it.
Be careful. Be careful. Don't use the word rude.
Don't you? No. You were talking. I didn't say anything. Okay. If I say anything, the moderator will hold me. Now you're not moderating tonight.
No, I mean exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You're not moderating tonight, so you're not. You're not
coming. They're coming.
Side
by side.
Mr. So, this is a man that Corey Mariah. Now you see what he's doing. This is the man that telling someone, "Oh, you're not supposed to behave like." But here now. I have now the first one of my mom. He jumped there. Here's the problem. If you ask a question, you can hold the person and say, hey, hold on. The person answering the question can say, hold on. Because you don't want that part to be missing. But you see now this woman is so that way. She just disrupted. Because Samuel 12 was lying. Many things he said he was lying. And what did he say? He the one told him, say you rude. Why can't Hassan Dawson not sure? Why you don't complain about Hassan? The man. Look, so something told, stop this thing. Maybe if you have problem with someone, say, okay, I don't like the person posture of what happened. But how many times the women on that show have not taken insult from no men there? How many times? Have you ever been outraged when insulting those women? But you come here now, ANC women, this woman here, she will be the problem. Because Samuel 12 was not seeing many things. It was fallacy, it was not true. You could see that why he was sweating. And because this woman is legal minded and pushing him, now you can't say, oh, the woman was disrupted. Sometimes people, there's a conversation, people do it sometimes. It doesn't mean this. Sometimes you just want to get a point across because the man is talking too much. He tried to deflect many of the questions. And so, because you know something to it, this guy is a genius. He's the most smartest person in Liberia. So the asking question, he would deflect that question and go all around. This man could not tell you how much the budget that the president used to trial. He said he don't know. He can't tell you offhand. He can tell you the number of person that the president took with him. But he can only tell you that the president does not a daily allowance. But he can remember that one. But the budget, that which he signed on, but the president of the tribe, he doesn't know.
Okay.
So this is the problem sometimes we have. And for you to kind of leeching all of that on the lady, I don't think it's right. Maybe if you have some problem, well, okay. But don't put it that way. It's one of those cantankerous person. The ANC that this kind of person will be more than Finabono. How many times I insulted those women on that platform? You can outrage on those men one day. Have you ever called on Kev Hassan, your son's Costa? Have you called on
him?
Let's go. Starting to.
Okay. Oh wow, sister, welcome. Yeah, but it will be unfair. I'm not going to be the liberals, so don't get panic. I'm going to give you the opportunity. We don't sanction voices here. We allow people to speak, to air what they have, and that's a good thing about this for us here. We don't interrupt. That is a problem, is to interrupt your guests. It's a big distraction to the conversation. That's why open-ended questions are always good, to allow themselves to explain. Liberal, what you said tonight here, is that a slip of tongue?
About what?
You listen to what Pat Joyce said.
Mr. George comment and commentating, it does not move me, and it will not bamboozle me to accept what I say, something that is what I stand with that, and I stand by that. Truthfully, I'm not being disrespectful.
You have no apology,
Mr. So, none whatsoever. I'm not being disrespectful to this woman. I have not insulted her. That's far from it. On this platform, we don't even do that. What I'm suggesting, what I'm saying to you, what I observed today, and I know on that platform, they sometimes go at it at each other, which is something that is common. Fine. I have no objection to it.
So you're going to go insulting women on the platform?
Here we go.
Hold on.
Here we go. Yeah, hold on. He says instead he's not telling he on this platform we give people up there. But let it go. Hold on. With a soft voice, mind you. With a soft voice. Hold on. He said.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. Well, everybody listen to you. But let me finish my point. Here's what really bothered me about her. She's smart, very intelligent, highly educated. By the way, she's a lawyer. So perhaps she and Stinson must have had some, and I'm just speculating, must have had some sort of agreement to say, you come in with this lawyer question. And most of our questions today were putting Samuel Tua, from what I observed, putting Samuel Tua on his back heel. For, truthfully, my problem is when the moderator say, hold on, you hold on. When they recognize other people to ask their question, she comes in. That is not polite. That is not decorum. Number one. Second thing is, she's been in the courthouse. She's a lawyer. I'm not too sure if she's been in the courthouse. I don't know that, but I'm just saying. So in the courthouse, you don't behave like that. If you interrupt the witness, the judge will warn you. And even the opposing lawyer will object to your behavior. So for her to do what she did tonight, every one of the people, the only person that perhaps she didn't jump in was Dr. Richardson when she was speaking. But when Key, forget it. When Chairman Sanvi was forget it. Dr. Peabody, forget it. What's the other guy? The other guy was talking. She jumps in. That's my point.
Okay.
And another thing that I'm trying. Let me amplify on that. Another thing that I'm going to say. The reason why I'm saying if ANC, if they don't take control now, and they think they're going to continue her when they come to office, it's a joke. Because not only is she smart, she's sophisticated. And the way she was, Stenson couldn't even control that. Mariah, somebody's Mariah, hold on, Mariah, it's not your time. Mariah, all day. How many times we're going to say that? And I'm not talking about insult. Far from it, Mr. George.
Hey, hold on there.
Okay.
Mr. George,
Okay, we're not going
Mr. George, the liberal is on the floor.
Okay, yeah, hold on.
Mr.
No, hold
the
on.
liberal, I'm not done yet. The liberal is on the floor. Please.
You're getting to be like
shut me down, that's what you do, and you're very good at that. You want to shut me down because of the central. Before the central right came in here, Dr. Toto, Jonathan, me, and you, things were fine. But now that he's here, you're not going to take sides. So I expect that. I know that. I'm listening now. I'm listening. Okay. Listen, he said. This is how.
Don't enjoy. You were just talking about her here that when moderator says stop, she can't stop. I am the moderator. I'm telling you, hold on now. You want to rewrite history.
But the way you going about it, you're taking side. You heard the man while I was talking. He interrupted, and you softly, in your very soft voice. Yeah, hold on now. Wait.
Okay.
You see what's wrong with that? So you want to stop me from me to end my statement? That's fine. It's up to you. You're
okay, tell a second, but I'm not going to waste my time with Mariah.
That's fine. However way you want to characterize, that's fine. But on a very serious note, my comment is not degrading, and I have nothing to apologize for. My comment is an observation, and I'm just making my observation. I'm entitled to it.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me welcome Sissy. I mean, we're not going to make it like a talking point here, but it's good to have this sort of conversation. I'm not a favorite. Sometimes I do it, and sometimes, when you're interviewing people, the interviewer and the interviewee, you have to give people a chance. It's just unacceptable to have this sort of disruption when you bring a guest. I mean, it just killed the substance of the conversation. Sissy, good evening and welcome.
How you doing? Just got out of class. Sorry for being late.
I know you've been on the campaign. You've been so. Tell us here, how did it go on? As I've seen some posts, I think one of the person that you supported knocking door. I think the lady won the race there.
Yeah. It's bittersweet. I am a little disappointed that the Liberian candidates that I supported, all of them lost. I think. In the entire state, we had only one win. All the way down in rural Minnesota, we had a Demoya that won city council. But the incumbent mayor in Brooklyn Center lost. Winfred Russell, that I was supporting in Brooklyn Park, lost. All of our city council seats, we lost them. So in effect, we don't have any more representation. When I say we, I mean Liberians in elected offices in Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, where we are. We have the most Liberians living outside of the U.S. But it was sweet in that the campaign that I actually served on, those other campaigns I supported, but the one that I actually served on, I was the political director for the Senate campaign that we won by a landslide on that. So my candidate that I was the political director for is going to be going to the State House. We also managed in the state to build a blue wall. So we won all constitutional statewide offices. So the governor mansion, we retained it. We as Democrats, we retained the Secretary of State. We retained the Attorney General office. We also made sure we flipped the Senate. The Republicans had the Senate, and we flip it. So the Democrats turned Minnesota blue. We built a blue wall, and none of the congressional seats of Minnesota that Democrats held was lost in Minnesota. So we didn't lose anything as Democrats. As a matter of fact, we won things in Minnesota. So we set a blue wall. So I'm excited about that because now I can have people to fully fund education for my students. We can make sure that we protect the rights of women and children in our state. And Minnesota can continue to be the bastion of a war to build against bigotry and against people who think that they can use politics to hold other people down. So I'm excited for that. But I was a little bit deflated last night. I was looking forward to seeing a lot more Liberians winning races. It didn't happen, sadly. But we will regroup and we'll get ready for 2024.
But sister, let me ask you something. What was in the Liberian community? Is there any data to show all the turnout of that community?
Well, the only thing we can show is that we go to we can only go to the Secretary of State website, look at precincts, right? Because we know
that's what I'm talking about.
For example, we know in the Central District and in the East District is where a lot of Liberians are. So we can go and look at those polling precincts and see what was the turnout and versus this year versus last 2020 and maybe comparing it to the last midterm election. So we've been looking at that. We're digging deeper into the data. But again, we have to remember that this is a midterm election. And most times people don't come out to vote, especially the Democrats don't come out to vote, especially minorities don't come out to vote. We too didn't do our work. When I say we, I mean those of us that are politically savvy, and we're going to have to take some responsibility for that. We should have invested heavily in early voting. We didn't do that. We were hoping our people were going to take advantage of the same day voting, even though we told them in the state of Minnesota, your employer is required to give you 2 hours to go to work. It is the law in Minnesota. Your employer allows you to go to work, to go to vote for 2 hours, and they pay you for it. We still weren't able to get our people out. So I think we need to invest a lot more in voting.
I got to go vote. You want to cut that out from me? You cut it. I got to vote. That I don't play around.
And then, sister, let me ask you a question. When it comes to the city of Minnesota, so the organization of Liberia in Minnesota, OLM, what role did they play to kind of support the Liberian candidate in the voting process? Did they play any role?
Yes, but we had to be very careful because, and when I say we, it's because I serve on the board of directors of the OLM. It's because the OLM is a 501c3 and it's a non-political organization. We're not registered as a political organization. So all we could do is to put out robocalls. We put out robocalls that telling people to go and vote, telling people where, how to find their precincts, how to get out, when to, places to go and vote. So we did that mass voter call out, robocall for people to go and sensitize people to go and vote. But what some of us did, who are leaders individually outside of the OLM, was to go out and door knock for candidates, to put our faces out there so that people see that we support these candidates and so that they can come out. And so in our own individual ways, we did the work that we thought was sufficient. But I think the data proves differently, that it was not enough. And I think every Liberian in leadership in Minnesota, I think we all need to do a soul searching. This is sad. This was not the outcome that at least I wanted. We lost offices instead of gaining offices, and so we're gonna go back and think. And at least for me, what I'm looking at right now is I'm gonna be looking for younger, more energetic Liberians who are very smart, to train them, to teach them, because I've run twice. I think we can't wait for 1 year before election before we start to recruit people. We're going to start going out recruiting people and start getting them ready to run, and start to teach them 2 years before elections, so that they have enough plan and have the machinery ready come 2024. But this is not going to be the end of Liberians in Minnesota.
But sister, you got host politicians from Liberia. They come to Minnesota. They use your facility. They have program material there. Does it contradict your 501c3 others?
No, because when they come, because so OLM allows, they come to meet the OLM. So we're not campaigning for them. So even in our building, we have allowed Keith Ellison, for example, the guy who won re-election for Attorney General, came to OLM to meet with the leadership, because we are the leaders of the Liberians, so they can come to the Liberian People House. We own our own building, so they can come to the Liberian People House, and they can host program in the Liberian People House to talk to people. We just can't come out and run political ads to say, vote for this person, as an OLM, or vote for this person, but we can allow the space. So we allow the space to American politicians. We also allow the space to Liberian politicians and visiting Liberian politicians. And government ministers and officials also use our space.
All that I can say with the northern liberals, those are people that if I'm going to associate myself with the northern liberal, I am very careful with that, because the people from Massachusetts, the people from Minnesota, all of the northern states that consider themselves liberals, from time to time, they are not there when the real fight comes in. If you look at the liberal from West Virginia, he called himself a Democrat. Look at all the Democrat right now. If the Democratic Party in the Senate, if they were to have more than 4 or 5 more than what they need. If they were to leave by 5, you will see they will start calling themselves Blue Door here and W Door there. I mean, they are not to be trusted. The liberal from the northern side, they are not to be trusted. They are not to be trusted.
The liberal, let me disagree with you vehemently on that. In every group, there will be compartmentalizing of how we stand. We're all Democrats, but for me, for example, I am a Democrat. I'm a liberal, progressive Democrat, and so there are, and I lean closer to the ideas of Bernie Sanders more than the ideas of Hillary Clinton. But I'm still a Democrat, and I think, you know, to even connect us in Minnesota with. To make a comparison with West Virginia, I think it's sad, because if you look at the map, we built the wall. The blue wall is built in Minnesota. It's built from Minnesota down to and now we took Wisconsin to add to us. So go back and look at the wall. We built that. It's not that one thing, one island thing where you got, you know, we built a whole wall. And so when you start to talk about, for example, marriage equality and stuff, it started right here in Minnesota. We started to build that wall right here in Minnesota. So when you start to talk about protecting democracy and dealing with it with progressive issues, I think the likes of Paul Wellstone, the late senator, and people who led that working for Minnesota. So we are not like Californians who take everything for granted. We are Minnesota. We build a wall and we defend democracy.
I speak in terms of the. Hold on, Mr. So. I speak in terms of the Humphrey, Hero Humphrey. These are people that consider themselves to be the northern liberals. When the civil rights issues started, when people started serious debate, the northern liberals were nowhere to be found. So the fact that the people, the northern liberal, they are people who consider themselves to be liberal. They will say, but when it comes up to this time, when we're in majority in the Senate, when we're in majority in the House of Representatives, we are unable to produce a clear voting right for people to say, yes, these people have the right to vote at certain time. And don't just give me one state. You're from northern. As long as you're northern liberals, you are not my kinds of liberal.
I expect that, you know, sometimes when we say these things, we say them understanding how government works. So I understood Dr. Toto saying underneath that it won't pass their own bills. If you remember when George Bush was president, and George Bush had a supermajority in Republicans, they couldn't even pass his own immigration bill. George Bush immigration bill. And so when you look at the way the Senate works, the Senate works on not just a majority. You have to have at least 60 plus vote in order to be able to pass certain things, unless you're passing them on reconciliation. And so the only thing that get passed on reconciliation are budgetary issues. So let's be very careful of how we speak about issues like that.
But it is the same liberal that you're hailing. It is the same liberal that you're hailing. I'm refusing to do away with this.
Filibuster, because we have to defend democracy, right?
You're one of those who refuse to do away with the filibuster because you believe that perhaps your time will come, and these people, if you don't do away with the filibuster, you will not be able to achieve as much as you want. That's why I said the northern liberal. It says it seems like you've been around the Minnesota politician for a very long time.
I have just studied politics for too long.
That you are pretty much taking on the northern liberal status.
I've studied politics for too long, and I've practiced policy enough, and I've dealt with policy both in the Democratic Party and outside of the Democratic Party. So we have been pushing issues like, for example, right here in Minnesota, we managed to flip the Senate blue because what we wanted was to fully fund education. And we had an education chair in a Republican who refused to put that bill on the floor. And so what we did was, I especially serving on the Legislative Action Committee of Education Minnesota, the teachers union. We went out, we recruited a teacher from the classroom, we flipped that red seat blue, we took that guy out because now we know that we can fully fund education in Minnesota. So we talk the talk, we walk the walk. We're not just sitting down and listening to people who don't understand how government works. So we've been out there, we've been doing the work.
Okay. All right. I don't know why the liberal always like to jump into a losing battle, but
I'm not losing this battle. I'm telling you right now, I don't trust the northern liberals. They are not people to be trusted. I'm not hiding it.
Okay. Let me throw this little.
You believe in free thing. I'm sitting here. I'm a full-fledged Democrat. But I'm
There
an
we go.
executive. I don't
I
just
believe in free thing, he says.
people. I don't read that.
These are the Democrats that will tell you you're supposed to come up the ladder through your own bootstrap. But they forget to know that we, the liberal, made these boots. They expect you when you don't have anything to do what you care for yourself. These are the people that consider themselves liberal, and they are not the true liberals.
No Democrat has ever told you about your bootstrap. If it's a Democrat that say you have to have a boot in order to have
I know some Democrat that will say first thing they will tell you, look, say, hold on 1 minute, hold on 1 minute. Look, let me tell you this. Here is one of the reasons why I particularly don't appreciate the northern liberals. Back in the days, they used to have welfare, and the welfare here in this country at the time was dominated by Caucasian. However, the few African American that were being blessed and being associated by that, they came out. The Democrat stood by why the Republican came up to make a rule to say that this welfare issue, people have to go to work at a certain time, which is okay. But what if there's no job? One other reason, the weather hopping issue started in the north. The weather hopping issue brought in by George Bush started in the north, and the Democrat, the northern liberals, they were unable to defend the caucus. They were unable to defend Dukakis, and Dukakis got what because of weather hopping. You can't sit here and tell me that the northern liberals are people to be trusted. I don't trust them.
1 minute, says Mr. To, with all these suggestions that you are making, the people that you are criticizing are people who have participated in elections and continue to participate in elections. You said that since you came to this country, you have never voted. How do you want this policy to work, or you couldn't imagine it working by other people?
Because this is not Toe Town. I will not vote until I get into town.
Let me push back one last second, because you brought in a whole lot of stuff. When you talk about the issue of the welfare queen, that was when Newt Gingrich was when they had that
was before that. That was before the contract. That was before the contract. That was before the contract with America.
The liberal. Bill Clinton years was when that welfare queen thinking, that's when you had a welfare reform. It was in Bill Clinton years, and that's when Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House. And so when you look at that,
no. I know exactly what. At that time, the welfare
listen.
Let me.
Liberal.
You are going to be like there used to be a speaker called James Wright. James Wright was a speaker as a Democrat. He stood there when Newt Gingrich started chipping away his power. He stood there because of that. That's because he was unable, and the northern liberal were unable to defend Jim Wright. Jim Wright went down. That's what brought in this so-called.
That is not completely accurate. You had a midterm election, and you had a sitting government where every time data have shown, except for this year, that is a little different, where the party in power for everything of a midterm election in this U.S., data has shown historically that the party in power loses a lot of seats, and that wave that came with Newt Gingrich and the moral majority at the time, that Pat Buchanan, they were all leading the moral majority.
But how did Newt Gingrich come in? Do you remember Jim Wright?
That's how they ran on that issue of the queen.
Okay.
Let's go to work show. And then the issue of Willie Horton is a whole different thing. You're talking about people taking one guy that was pardoned, that came and committed a crime and became a lightning rod for a campaign. That was the campaign issue. That was not a policy issue. So those are different things.
No.
So,
go ahead, Mr. So.
Hold on first.
Let's go to Labrador so we can make Labrador this.
Yeah. We were just talking about somebody on a different network here, and he has become more than that person. So I don't know why he was not taking pen to take notes, and he was interrupting as well. And he knows the law here. We don't do that. All right. I know we have less than 15 minutes to go here. Let's go inside library. But it's good we talk about these things. We are also here. It's good to have these sort of multilateral conversations on a wide range of national issues. That's what LPR is all about. But There's this story from the front page as it relates to what Rich Nima County Senator contemplated withdrawing support from CDC ahead of 2023. I don't know if this is just a sort of attractions or just for us to find something to do, or Yellow is trying to do some sort of unpredictable move, and the elephant is out of the country. Having next time all these conversations taking place, trainers from ledges, people demonstrating in Buchanan. Is this a smoke fire here, or that's just something for people to find something to do? Should we pay attention to this?
You want me to go?
Oh,
Because
sure.
mine would be very short. Absolutely not. Prince Johnson is just trying to fill that information bubble that right now the president, nobody's there to give a distraction. But let's really think about it. Where is Prince Johnson going to take his party or his influence to be able to have influence if it is not with the CDC? The ANC will accept him bringing votes to Cummins, but the ANC is not going to sit down with Prince Johnson and say, yeah, we share power with you. The Gonglo group, if he tells people to vote for Gonglo, we're not going to say, oh, don't tell people to vote for Gonglo, but Gonglo is not going to share power with him. And I don't think Joseph Boakai and the Unity Party will share power with him. So where is he going to go where he can be able to get power? He just got to stay with where he's at. But I think Prince Johnson, is the usual. He's just trying to get people to talk about him a little bit. And sadly, newspapers carry it, and we are here discussing it. But I don't think it's anything worth discussing. He's going to go right back to George Weah because that's the only place he's going to be able to at least get a deputy minister position for his group or a director general position for his group.
Okay. Jenetron.
Yeah.
Let me bring you in here, then the liberal as well as we wrap here. That's your own native land there. If this guy, is he still politically heavy? Is he somebody that can influence the process? I don't know why. Okay, good. Amos Josh is on. Is he politically still heavy, or he just tried to get in the eyes of the camera like what Sissy is saying?
I think what Senator Johnson is doing is that he's trying to give reason why we need to end his tenure by giving him more attention, more positions, and making him relevant in the campaign process for his re-election. And so it's a gimmick meant to get President Weah attention. I think he did it before when he said 2018 that President Weah would not succeed himself. And then he had the opportunity to have brought in Wilfred Bangura for the Ministry of Commerce, few other personalities into other government entities. So I think that's the normal game that Senator Johnson is playing because, of course, like Sissy said, he's not going to come to opposition. He cannot run away from the sanction. So he will stay within the comfort zone. But lastly, because you said we got 15 minutes, let me just say something maybe before you go to the rest. I just like to speak on the core issue.
Okay.
I'm not trying to make this. I'm not trying to make this conversation or other platform. But the core issues that are quite burning to our country is the issue of counting us. You listen to Dr. Toto talk about the censor placing in different districts. And so people are cooking on the street of Buchanan. It is unhealthy for us. The censor basket is being complained. There have been allegation report from from LACC that today the minister is saying he has not seen. There have been money coming from different areas that cannot be accounted for. And people work with Ministry of Finance, signing for what he referred to as petty cash. So I think these issues, including the trip of the president that was just signed recently by the finance minister, he cannot remember the figure, but all other money's conversation, he can remember the exact figure. I think it gave an exuberance to some of the panelists. I think that's why Mr. Todd is of the opinion that Mariah Yakula was so much talking, maybe interrupting. But even in legal matter, they got something they call interpose. You interpose objection. It is the lawyer or is the judge who has the responsibility to say your objection is sustained or is overruled. So it's left with the but it
But
happens even in court. So I just wanted to
yeah,
clarify.
yeah, I will make a liberal to come in here. But to be honest, I didn't see it. I will try to kind of take a look at it today. But it has become a pattern. And this is why we don't, I mean, sometimes it happens, but when you bring in guests, and that's why we all agree we deploy a strategy here. You get aside, Sister get aside, Amon Joy get aside, the liberal. He also get aside. Sometimes it kills the substance of the conversation because interruption, I mean, for God's sake, you're not gonna get anything. I saw that happening with Eugene what's the guy Maritime? Eugene Nambe. It happened. I will try to take a look at that. But interruption is usually not a good thing. Let me bring in the Libra here. Libra, now, with respect to this Prince Johnson thing, because NEMA is crucial to the whole electoral process in terms of who wins the presidency. Do you think after 2023, with the inclusion, what is that? You back in school, classroom?
No, he taking the judgment that the circuit court judge just delivered. He trying to look at it.
Okay. I was asking the question, and I think Sese, he would be the perfect person here to answer that. Do you think, with the inclusions of Councillor Tiawan Gongo from the same NEMA bill, do you think it will kind of diminish at the end of the day? I'm looking at do you think you're going to diminish the political strength of Senator Prince Johnson after 2023, depending on what will be, what we're going to see? The Liberal, because he's on the ballot this time around, right? And
even Mr. So, even if he's not,
you're right.
We cannot dismiss Prince Johnson. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Okay, we cannot dismiss Prince Johnson. The fact that he's from NEMA and NEMA people continue to vote for him, we have to take him serious. I'll give you an example, and I brought this paper up for a reason. The 2000, and I did that here the other day. Let me bring that again. The 2005-2011 election, from 2005, NEMA had 190,000. 2011, NEMA had 230,000. They grew by almost 30%. Now, if you do the 2005 to 2017, NEMA grew by almost 50%. Okay? So the reason why I'm saying this is that NEMA, just like in many of these other counties, when they started 2005, many of our brothers and sisters were in the refugee camps. Now, most of the refugee camps are closing, and people are coming back home. Now, NEMA right now has the most roads in terms of drivable roads. So they have lots of stuff that is going on in NEMA County. Okay, so you will have more people coming in to stay in NEMA. So if Prince Johnson is making these kinds of comments and people want to dismiss him, I think you're doing so at your own peril. Because Prince Johnson, whether we agree or not, he considers himself a godfather of NEMA County. Many people don't want to accept that. But whenever he comes on to have during the election, NEMA always follow his lead. So I think the fact that he's already pushing against George Weah, if I were any of the political leaders, not that you're going to share political offices or political whatever your meal you're going to get from politics that you're going to share with Prince Johnson, far from it. But we have to take him serious. We have to take him serious because NEMA County is still going to be the vote-rich county, and we cannot dismiss that. We cannot.
So, in essence, you don't see there as a political ploy on the part of Prince Johnson to get a sort of attraction.
Well, you might come out and say, well, he's looking for the attention, but I will not consider that. I will not call it attention. I will take it serious, because eventually, one of these political leaders will start negotiating with Prince Johnson. No question asked. No question asked. At a particular time, one of the political leaders will start negotiating with Prince Johnson.
Okay, one of the political leaders are going to throw that question, but I want Amos Joy, and then maybe I will ask Sese to see what else Tiawon Gonglo will negotiate with Prince Johnson. Amos Joy.
Yeah.
Should we pay attention to what this guy is doing?
I would say in a sense, but this is Prince Johnson. This is a 419 thing. Prince Johnson cannot leave from behind George Weah. He said he's saying when he's not getting much attention. So he uses to bring so the CDC, George Weah, can come back to him. This is what the guy does. It's not someone that reliable. You cannot deal with Prince Johnson. He knows that other people in other political quarter will not get the guarantee that he got from George Weah. He can't get it from other places. So if he not getting that much attention, then he say something, then George Weah will call him. So okay, this is not old man. You know him, my papi. He said that this man has said a whole lot of things about George Weah, but it's him man he go to support. He told us, a George Weah elected, he bring war. But yet, this man, every day he's supporting this man. So I don't have read Prince Johnson issue. I don't have much time with it. But there are issues that go on in Liberia. This latest thing here. Today,
are you there, Mr. Josh?
This man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere.
Mr. Tony, Russia is on you.
I said you on his mic.
These people have been accused by the Auditing Bureau, the Anti-Corruption Bureau, and the minister, seeing that he cannot suspend those people. But what he did, he brought one doctor from the University of Liberia to oversee the censor. But this people got tainted record. Why are you keeping them there? Why are you keeping them there? Why are you suspending while the investigation going on? But he telling people he had not seen no investigation. He telling people that, oh, the money that they send there, he know about money, but he did not authorize the use of that money. You know all that.
I think we have to find time because we're wrapping up.
So, but yes, and I just want to tell you, I think something you heard this thing. The government of Liberia said they spend 11% on education. 11% of the budget on education. That from the Minister of Finance, 11%. And the wage bill yearly is about $298 million. So 70,000 government employees. What Liberia? Why are you spending that kind of money, chicken chin, on education? And you think that country want to move forward?
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but let me come to Sissy here quickly. Sissy, your guy, what we should be concerned with? Do you think with Councillor Tiawon Gonglo in the race, would that at the end of the day, will it diminish Senator Prince Johnson political strength or his argument as the godfather? What are you concerned with another prominent Nigerian contesting for the higher office of the land?
I think Prince Johnson can call himself whatever he wants to call himself. That was in the absence of the candidacy of Councillor Tiawon Gonglo. I think Prince Johnson understands that the space under his feet is no longer owned by him in Nimba County. Look, the question here is not, I know the Liberal went on a whole row about the relevance of Nimba. We are not discussing, nobody's denying the relevance of Nimba, that Nimba is vote rich. Nobody's saying that. We're just saying that Prince Johnson no longer holds has a stronghold over Nimba, like he claims to have had since the last several elections, and particularly so because of the presence and the emergence of Tewonse Gonglo. So Prince Johnson knows that. The times that Prince Johnson has been raising people's hands and walking around beating his chest in Nimba County are far gone. That was before we had a son of Nimba County, a trusted son of Nimba County. And so is he really trying to tell me that in Nimba County, when Prince Johnson is not on the ballot for president, but Tewon Gonglo is on the ballot for president, that Prince Johnson is able to seize Nimba County from Tewon Gonglo? Yeah, Prince Johnson can continue to live in that, I think he's delusional anyway, so we all understand that. So Prince Johnson can continue to live in that life. But what I do know is that in Nimba County, there was a new sheriff in town. There was a new rooster crow in town, and Prince Johnson know it. And when the rooster in crow, he better be sleeping. And that rooster is Tewonse Gonglo.
Jonathan, you agree with me?
He said yes. Jonathan said yes.
I can say that Prince Johnson, throughout his military life, he has been fighting psychological war. A lot of people are not conscious of it. And he has deployed into politics too. And he uses that method in order to accrue wealth. And that is why the Treasury Department has sanctioned him as one of those who they refer to as pay to play. So what he's doing now is to get President we have full attention to be the kingmaker again, where there will be hundreds of millions of dollars that will roll his way in order to give that impression. And in the midst of it, if he wins the senatorial bid and President Weah doesn't win, to hell with President Weah. Senator Johnson is still moving. He will adopt a new formula. So he's not doing it because he wants to win. So that's the kind of person he is. I'd like to say again, on the suspension issue that Minister Tua raised, at one point, Minister Tua and the rest of the government believed that Maggie should have been suspended on report from the Treasury. At another point, Minister Tua disagreed that the religious people should not be suspended because they are not going to quote, even though LACC have provided a report. That is a contradiction. I must say again, on the census count, it is said that by President Weah proclamation that will be conducting census on a particular day.
Friday.
It is similar in Constitution to say our election will be held on a particular day. For the president to have chosen to be counted in an exception, it means that the president will choose to be voting on a day other than the rest of the day, the rest of the Liberians will be voting on. So I think it's a constitutional matter, and legal people should look into that matter because it's highly grave. Because they gave us only a particular time that census will commence and continue.
All right. Liberal, to make your last point before we go.
Thank you for having me. We appreciate it.
Oh my goodness.
That's all.
The guy, he's
so many trouble than Phidias.
When they say cantankerous, that old man there.
Oh my goodness.
Ain't got a swear song.
I didn't see.
Ain't got a swear song.
I didn't see the one happy coming at all. Gentlemen, have a pleasant night. That's how we're going to leave it. Thank you so much, folks. Thank you for having a time with us.
That's where you're about be telling the papi, don't put it one here, take it from here. Then you say you want control in my